YouTube, what is going on? Theo Bean here, and today we're going to be talking about the Final Fantasy 16 first DLC, Echoes of the Fallen, and whether it's worth the initial price of the $10. So after the Video Game Awards aired Thursday night, it was announced for the two DLCs what they were, and that the first DLC was here and ready. So I went through, I played it Friday night, and I'm here to tell you my thoughts and essentially the review of the DLC and everything that I really thought about it. Is it worth it? Is it good? Is it bad? Without further ado, let's get into it. The Echoes of the Fallen DLC, $10, meaning that the second part regarding Leviathan is $15 in total. You can buy the first DLC individually for $10, or you can buy both packs for $25. I ended up buying both. I plan on playing the DLC for Leviathan as well when that releases. I believe they said spring or summer, I'm not sure. I want to say it was spring. Going into it, so is the DLC good? I will say it was. I actually enjoyed the DLC. What can you expect from it? It's pretty much exactly in line with just how this game essentially is, right? If you've played through Final Fantasy 16, you've beaten it, then you know what to expect. It is essentially just a stage like any other, and here it is at the Arete Stone. This is the final thing that you can do from it. As good as it was pretty short. I beat it, and I want to say from start to finish it was an hour and a half. For my file, I ended up playing on my first clear file at the very end, because on my New Game Plus file, which is I'm only level 74. I have not technically completed it on my way going through to get my platinum trophy. So instead of going through completing stuff to unlock it, I essentially just decided to start from here. Upon completion, you will get a new weapon, the weapon that I have here. This is actually the best weapon in the game. I'm actually not going to show it, but it does beat the best weapon that you can get in your single playthrough. Is it better than the Ultimate weapon in New Game Plus? That I am not sure. I have not gotten it yet, but I will eventually be doing that later on. $10 for an hour and a half it's a lot. You do get quite a few other things. You can get some new items, some gear. In regards to icons, of course, and abilities, combat, there's nothing new to offer there. You get a couple orchestra and rolls. Essentially what you're hearing right now is included with that. That's why I have that playing on the Hideaway currently. What the best part of the DLC is going to be the final boss. It is very much in line with how insane and epic the final, I should say, the big iconic boss fights are in this game. And it was up to that par just as much as the others. I would even go as far as to say that in regards to a boss fight in combat, Clive versus boss type style fight, it's probably the best boss fight in that style that there is. Brief spoiler, unfortunately there is no icon versus icon fight. You just fight as Clive with the standard combat going through it. That's totally fine with me. I didn't feel like it needed it. The fight was pretty epic. It was, I'd say it's actually a little bit more challenging. I didn't think it was too hard. That's why I do intend to go through it on New Game Plus, hoping that it will be a little bit more challenging with my current setup and everything that I have there. But with that said, if you're geared, you have experience playing the game, some of the things might be a little bit tricky, but the fight does progressively get harder, which felt good, and it was just as insane as any of the other boss fights in the game. With that, there is a little story background to it that does tie up some things as well. It does not really take away from anything else in the main story. My personal opinion, you can play through Final Fantasy 16 without the DLC and you'll get the entire story, everything that's intended with it. Everything makes sense. I think the DLC is going to be nice and kind of wrapping up some loose ends or some questions that we might have had regarding other things, right? In this case, the Fallen. So, still, it was good. The only real complaint I have about the DLC is just the length of it. It was a lot shorter than I expected, and after I beat it, I couldn't help but think to myself, is it worth the $10? And I thought, well, $10 to go to the movie theater for an hour and a half or so, probably 2 hours. I'd say most people it's probably going to take you a little bit longer. Maybe. I didn't really screw around. I kind of did look for treasures. There were a couple, but nothing really anything special. I think it's pretty easy to find them all. They're not really hidden. Overall, yeah, it's essentially the same thing as going to a movie, except instead of seeing a movie, you're more so paying for an experience, and more of a challenge. So in regards to challenges, I think this is probably the hardest boss in the game, maybe next to Ultima. Granted, I was a bit rusty going through this, and I thought I still did pretty good, but there were a couple of times where it got a little hairy. But overall, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the boss fight. I just wish there was a little bit more meat on the bone, but again, you know, I think that does match what Final Fantasy 16 is, right? Final Fantasy 16 as an RPG doesn't have a ton of meat on the bone, but what it does have is very good. And that's ultimately what the DLC felt like. It was short and sweet, much like Final Fantasy 16 compared to its predecessors. Most RPGs have a lot more side quests and things that you are able to do. Final Fantasy 16 doesn't really focus on that component. It just focuses on its character development, its storytelling, action, combat, and that's, you know, that's the real center of the bone here for Final Fantasy 16. Overall, if I had to give it a review, if I'm putting a number on it out of 10, I would honestly say that the game is probably, I'd give it a solid 8. I think if it was longer, maybe an hour more of content, it would have been good. The beginning of it is a little slow to kind of get to where you need to go, but when you do get there, it is very enjoyable. And it was pretty cool to see what the Fallen are, what they were doing, more so their history, things like that. So that was really, really cool. But with that, that's pretty much going to be it. It's good, the content's great, it's just short, that's all. So thankfully we're with Final Fantasy 16. If you are going through your first playthrough, by all means go through and complete it before you do the origin quest at the very end, which, by the way, I don't think I stated this earlier. You cannot activate this quest until Origin is available, so not until the very end of the game. If you don't know what Origin is, don't worry about it. You'll find out when you get to that point in the game. So that's it. Good DLC. I think the one I'm really excited for is going to be the Leviathan DLC. If you saw my last video on that, you will know that we are confirmed we will have Leviathan's iconic abilities. So that will help mix and match things up for a little bit more flavor in regards to the combat and what that has to offer. So that, guys, that's going to be it. Short and sweet. I liked it. It was good, but would have liked a little bit more. That's really it. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you guys also as well for the recent support on the recent videos. I'm gonna try to be uploading more videos constantly here, as we're kind of getting closer to some very, very big releases here at the start of February for 2024. 2023 has been an incredible year for gaming, and I think 2024, that momentum's going right on through, especially for us RPG lovers. So with that, guys, thank you for watching. If you guys can, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. We're covering all the nice juicy RPGs that are coming out here within the next year, and I should be also uploading here a bit more frequently. My goal here is to just kind of get more uploads even during the slower periods. It's been a hard time just trying to think of something worth making content for. That's going to be it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, peace and deuces. See ya.